It's always quite exciting coming back after a little while back to Zoom. Good morning, all. Really lovely to see you this morning, and thank you for coming. So our practice today is, if there is a theme of words to it, I call it listening to the body. Now, I mean, in a sense, we're doing that all the time from the moment we wake up in the morning to the moment we fall into sleep at the end of the day. However, and there's always a bit of a however with this, often when we are moving and we're just in the flow of the day, the routine of the day and moving through our lives, it's almost like we put ourselves into action. We become the protagonist, so we become the main player, as it were, in the drama of our life, even if it's only very little dramas or maybe big dramas, but as those unfold. And so in that sense of action and doing, it's almost like often we forget to really feel ourselves. There'd be glimpses and moments when our emotions rise up and we're acutely aware of what we're feeling, whether that's the joy of being human or the discomfort of being human. On the other side, this morning though, the practice really is to explore some of the shapes, the asana, the movement and the stillness within our practice, but just to listen, to feel how it is to be in our body, rather than trying to action ourselves into a particular state, a particular feeling tone of the body, a particular sensation of stretching out or relaxing into ourselves, just literally seeing what the body is telling us, if that makes some sort of sense there. Because if we're just being present then to whatever sensation rises up, whatever feeling tone of the body rises up, it's like we're watching a weather system within us. We're watching the slight storming of the body. We're also watching the calmness, the sunshine of the body. In watching that, it allows our energy to naturally flow. There's none of this mind games kind of going on. There's none of this, emotional energy being held too much in the head. There's less thinking about it, less bringing it all down, the awareness down into the body. So opening up that field of awareness to perceive, to witness, to be present, not to change, letting the change happen quite naturally and organically within us. And we'll see where that takes us, into what space it leads us. So take a comfortable seat to start with, and that doesn't matter how or where you do that. Sofas are good, chairs are good, the floor is good, using the wall is good. Hands will just rest in the lap, one palm on top of the other. So keep everything simple here. Now you can bring a little bit of lift to your spine. You can also just lift yourself up on a block, cushion. So you support your spine a little bit. And then, soft gaze here. Keep the eyes open though for the moment. Now mouth for eating, more or less. Not all the time, but most of the time in yoga. Although we're not eating right now, but you know what I mean. And the nose for breathing. So all we're doing to start with is resetting ourselves. Pressing that pause button, arriving in an awareness of the breath. We're going to allow the breath to naturally deepen, to lengthen. So a few nice full in-breaths, watching the breath, watching ourselves, breathing in and breathing out. And following the flow of our breath from in-breath to out-breath. And from observing that movement of breath on the surface of the body, now letting your eyes shut and feeling the space of the breath, space of the new breath, breathing in the space of the old breath, breathing out. And we'll take 5 full conscious rounds of breath like this. We'll take one more together. Allow your eyes to open softly. That's your reset button, excuse me, at any time you need it, just to kind of reactivate the parasympathetic nervous system. So now stretching your legs out in front of you. And with a nice big in-breath, let your arms float up above the head. Just give yourself an out-breath or so to just feel any sense of easing, stretching up into either arm. Anything that feels nice for the body. And then start to watch your next in-breath arise. And as you do so, reach up through your fingertips into the sky. And so breathing out, one vertebrae at a time, let the spine roll forward into a forward fold. Letting your vertebrae unravel here. And you arrive in the skull, the neck. And you can drop the chin in towards the throat. And we'll just take a few rounds of breath here. Still resetting, so full, conscious rounds of breath. And then hands coming down to your legs, wherever they rest on the shins or their thighs. And you can start to very slowly from the base of the spine, roll the spine up and back into sitting again, upright. Now flexing the spine from upright, breathing in, you'll curve the spine forward and draw it up. The chin will lift towards the ceiling. And breathing out, you'll start to curve your spine around and down so the chin comes into the throat. Another in-breath, scooping the spine up. Chin lifts up. And breathing out, reversing that. And allowing the spine to curve in, the chin to throat. It's almost like you're doing a cat and a cow. We'll move through this for a few rounds of breath. It's like you're doing a cat and a cow, but in a vertical position. So as you move, just note if anything within you is tensing or tightening. And just seeing if you can relax that. Still holding the shape of the body. structure of the body, but without putting any extra tension into it. And then with your next in-breath, lifting up, and out-breath, bringing the chin so it's level with the body. And feeling the length of your spine, feeling energy traveling up along the spine. And then when you're ready, hands to the sides and rotating yourself around and onto all fours. So take a comfortable stance, a neutral spine on all fours, and breathing out, starting to draw your pelvis back as if it's reaching towards the heels, but the spine is still relatively parallel to the mat. Breathe in, hinge forward. Again, holding the spine quite neutral in a parallel position. So you're having to use your core, lifting up through the core to hold that and support the spine. Moving forwards, breathing in. Breathing out, drawing back. Now, as you start to move, keeping the rhythm going, but tucking under the toes. And really stretching back into the arches as you draw the pelvis back. So you'll feel that lovely opening through the arches of the feet as you move back towards your heels. And with your next round of breath, starting to scoot the spine down towards the mat, coming into cat and into cow. So out breath, your spine will curve up. And in breath, the spine is scooping towards the floor. You've still got your toes tucked under here. Then the next round or so of breath, when you're ready to move on from here, with your toes tucked under, we're going to start to ease the knees up. We'll keep the knees bent as you arrive in a down dog. And we lift up the fingers so you start to feel that stretch out through the arms. Then the fingers can come down to the mat and you can start to reach back into your heels, allowing them to draw downwards towards the floor. Look out past your knees for the next breath or so. And then looking forwards, start to walk your feet up towards your hands. And arriving in a forward fold, again a little bit of bend in the knees, especially if your hamstrings do feel quite tight this Monday morning. And in the next round of breath, start to now circle your chin. Very slow circles though, so you're really working with all the minutiae of muscles in the neck. We'll take that circle the opposite way. And then, letting our hands just hang a little bit off the floor in front of the feet. And you can start to roll your spine up and into standing again. We're coming into standing, hips width apart, the feet hips width apart from one another. Just letting the arms swing round. One behind you, one in front. So the arms are connecting with the waistline. Almost like the arms become a bit of a belt. And you can lift one foot off the floor to encourage return of the body from one side to the other. So the heel lifts, you swing round. Next round of breath. And coming back and into the center line. So deep in breath, and your hands will start to reach up into the sky. Breathe in, look up. And breathing out as if you're letting an anchor drop down. Start to, from the base of the spine, curve the spine round and down. All the way down and into a forward fold. Your arms will just hang down there. And you're starting to draw this anchor up from the base of the spine. One vertebrae stacking on top of the next to lift the spine up, and then the arms will travel up. Another in breath, look up, reach up. Another out breath from the base of the spine, starting to roll the spine downwards and back into forward fold. Coming up with the in-breath, do take your time here so you can feel the movement through each of the vertebrae. So taking any rush out of this and really feeling the body, listening into the movement and the flow of the body. Keep moving with your breath. We'll do one more round together. And so rolling up through the spine and reaching up with the hands. And we'll pause there with the hands up and above the head. And then both palms will come together. And you'll lean over to one side of the body, hips swaying out to the side. And as if you, it always helps sometimes to bend the elbows here. Draw the palms in and bend, stretch out again. Palms coming up. Take them over to the other side. Again, bend the elbows in. And then stretch them out again. Sliding back to the center line. In breath, interlacing fingers, stretching them up and over the head. So if you're trying to lift your feet up off the floor. Out breath, let the shoulders relax down. Little bit of space either side of the shoulders, around the neck. Now in breath, root down into the balls of the feet and start to lift up the heels, arriving in balance. Keep rooting down into the balls of the feet. And then separating the hands up, reach up into the sky. Feel space underneath your armpits, either sides of the waist, another in-breath. Out breath, turning both palms out to either side, stretch out the fingers, stretch out into the palms, start to lower the arms. Breathe out as you go, and the heels will come down to the mat. Arriving down, start to shrug your shoulders up and back. feeling your feet in contact with the floor as you do so. And as you set your shoulder blades back, the shoulders come down. Now pausing here, and now slowly, slowly start to bring your chin in towards your throat. Holding the rest of the body as stable as you can. You take your time here. Note how the trapezius muscles start to engage and stretch. We'll take a moment or so here, feeling the body, arriving in the body. No any tendency to want to push into any stretch or sensation. Just trusting the body to offer whatever you are feeling. Trust whatever you are feeling here, without needing to change or raise the intensity of that or lessen it. Seeing if you can be present to how it is. And guiding your chin back up into a center point. And just shaking the shoulders out a few times. Keep the head as level as you can here as you shake the shoulders out. Keep your breath flowing. Keep your feet anchored. And then lifting your shoulders up and pausing here, the arms floating up. Breathe in, draw in the belly. Hold the breath inside the body. There's a sense of tension here. Now feel the contrast as you breathe out and relax everything downwards. And eyes shut. Watching your natural breath down in the belly. Pressing that reset button again. With the next breath, we'll bring hands up to the heart. And hands are rising up at the heart and coming up to the top of your mat. Feel your feet imprinting on the mat. Feeling the lift of the skeleton. And breathing in, the palms can lift up, floating up above the head. And breathing out, as you were doing earlier, letting the spine roll its way down. Bending your knees so your fingertips can come to the mat, so bend them as much as you need to here. Just make sure the head isn't holding tension, that there's a freedom in the neck. Then in-breath, we offer the spine forward. So little gaze forward, lengthening out along the spinal column. Drawing back of shoulders, a deep in-breath. And then out-breath, palms coming down to the mat. Feel your palms anchoring the body. And then lifting up both feet and arriving in your down dog. And we'll pedal the feet from one side to the other in down dog. And
Almost like you're taking a stationary walk. And now as you do that, we'll look under the left shoulder as you pedal the right foot. So opposite to opposite. And then over to the right shoulder as you pedal the left foot. So I should have been clearer there if I said you look underneath each armpit and rather than to the shoulder. And with your next breath, bending both knees and drawing your spine forward a little bit. So kind of almost coming into a plank, not quite, a little bit of bend through the knees. Then breathe out and draw the spine back into down dog. In breath, yours will lift, the knees will bend and you'll draw the spine forward. And out breath, easing back again. The next in-breath, drawing the spine forward and then allowing your knees to drop down to the mat. And you're on all fours. And from all fours, we'll take the pelvis back and towards the heels. Arms stretched out in front of you. And the forehead can come to rest lightly on the mat. Start to look forward now between the hands and feel the underside of the lower arms in contact with the floor. And so then breathing in, we'll take the belly forward, the arms will lift a little bit to slide you onto the belly. Now we're going to do a few rounds of lifting up and down into Cobra. So hands can come underneath the shoulders or a little bit further forward from shoulders. An in-breath. And easing up through the spine. And the out breath, folding back down again. Another in breath, easing up. And arriving back down. We'll do one more round. And then with the next in-breath, we're going to find our way up and onto all fours. Now taking your spine out to one side, your gaze will come over to the opposite hand, and you're now going to sway the spine from side to side. So hips will come over to the left, your gaze out to the right. It's like you're swinging your spine in a hammock from side to side. Shutting your eyes, allowing your neck and your head to be involved in this movement from side to side. It's connecting the head to the top of the spine. And from side to side now, as you sway from one side to the other, you'll now bring the pelvis a little bit forward. It's almost like the spine is swimming like a snake from side to side. And when you get up to the hands, you can swim backwards and back towards the pelvis. Now, note if you're thinking this, trying to think from side to side, left, right, then see if you can come into that sense of flow. So you're just feeling it. Come forward again, up towards the hands. Can you feel the entire spine and the head connected as they sway from side to side? Dropping forwards, and feeling the movement of the spine, the movement of the body. Once you reach the hands, starting to guide your pelvis back. So it will become vertical above the knees. And we'll do another round. Just note how the head connects with the spine as you move. Remember, you don't need to change anything, just listening in to your body. Arriving back. And then easing forward towards your hands, scooping the spine low, toes tucking under, and start to lift your way up and into down dog again. Now, an in-breath, the right leg will float up. Stretch it high. And then bending your knees, bring your awareness into the hip socket on the right-hand side. And we're going to take the knee on a big circle. And in doing so, you're rotating the hip socket, the ball in the socket of the hip. So see if you can make that rotation a nice big rotation, a real orbit of the ball of the hip socket in its casing. After a couple of rounds, drop the right foot down. And we'll do the same on the left side. So the left leg will lift up. Big stretch up into the left leg. And then bending the left knee in. Again, we're rotating the left hip ball in its socket all the way round, rolling it around as the knee takes a big circle. Couple of rounds. And the left foot will come down again. Breathe in, look forward. And breathing out, walking, stepping the feet up towards the top of the mat, feet hips width apart and folding into forward fold. Rolling up the spine now, take your time to stack vertebrae, let the arms follow, breathe in. And breathing out, hands arriving back and into the heart. In breath, palms will float up again. Anchor down into your feet. Extend the palms up to the ceiling, stretch up the whole body. And then out breath, relaxing the elbows a little bit to the side, so there's space for the neck and the head to turn from one side to the other. You can check that out by just moving the skull over to one shoulder and then looking over to the other. Arriving back in the center line, now anchor down into the balls of the feet. And as you do so, now start to lift the heels, breathe in and lift yourself into balance. And with the next out breath, Start to release the hands out to either sides. Stretch out into the fingers. Keep the fingers flexed. And breathing out. Start to bring the heels down. And the feet arrive down. And we'll take a big circle this time, up with the arms. The arms will float up above the head. And with the out breath, they're stretching out to either sides of the body. It's a big expansive movement. One more. And the next in-breath, the arms will float up. Breathing in, looking up, stretching up. Now move your head a little bit from one side to the other. With your out-breath, start to fold down again into forward fold. Taking your feet now a little bit wider apart, so almost out to the edges of the short edge of the mat. And now bring your hands in between the feet. So they're reaching out into the space behind you. Now, if it's comfortable, you can either rest the hands on the floor here, or else bring them around to hold the heels. So you feel a bit frog-like here. Holding the backs of the heels. Now start to stretch the spine forward a little bit. You can bend your knees a little bit so the spine's more or less parallel with the mat. You're going to feel it in the hips here. It's going to stir up all sorts of things in the hips. Just take a few rounds of breath. Do come out of it if you need to. Feel the body though, whatever is rising up, being stirred up in the body. Just feeling this. We'll take a couple of breaths here to reset, to keep the body calm, mind calm. You have been breathing, but very consciously breathing there. Long, full breaths. Last round of breath in this position. And out breath, releasing up and starting to roll back up and into standing again. Now, hands are going to lift up from the belly up to heart height. And then you'll take the palms so they're facing down, elbows out to the sides. Now, keeping the body, the hips and the legs still facing forward, start to rotate from the waist, one side to the other. Hands are held at heart height here. Seems Jupiter's outside the door. He wants to join in. Do a couple more rounds here. A few more. Another round of breath also here. And then hands coming back to the center line. Still holding them up at heart height. And we'll now take the palms away from us. Out breath, stretch the palms out. So you're creating a kind of circle shape. Take them out to the sides. Take them out behind you. And bring them down. Lifting the hands up to heart height again, the palms facing up.
And we'll step the feet now a little bit further away from one another. Out breath, we'll take the palms out and in. So your palms are now facing out to the walls on either sides of you. Hands are close to the body. Now breathe out and start to push the walls away from you. Keep the shoulders relaxed down. Fingers pointing up to the ceiling. So you feel that flex through the wrists. And palms will turn up now. An in-breath, let the arms float up. An out-breath, guiding your hands down your center line and into a forward fold. Move your head now for a few moments from one side to the other. And then taking your hands a little bit further forward than the feet, you may want to pigeon toe walk your feet out a little bit away from one another. And we'll now start to rotate the right foot so it's parallel with the long edge of the mat. And the right hand will come to the inside edge of the right foot. Left hand up on the left hip and lengthening out along the spine. Moving your head down. So moving the chin down, so you're looking down at the bottom foot. Moving the chin up, so you're looking up at the sky. Do that one more time. That's too much on the neck. Keep the gaze so it's level or else down towards the floor. And the last breath will stretch up the left arm skywards. Now see if you can roll that left shoulder back a little bit. So you've got space around each of the joints here. Notice you're compressing anything. Couple of breaths to reset again. How much can you rest here with your breath? Left hand coming down. It's coming over towards the right. And from there, we walk the hands around in a circle towards the left foot. As you do so, you can turn the right foot in a little bit and rotate your left foot so it's now parallel with the long edge of the mat. Left hand to the inside, the left foot. Right hand up on the right hip. Now lengthening out through the spine, creating space through each of the joints, a bit of circle through that right shoulder. Make sure the left shoulder isn't squashed. Moving the head, moving the chin down towards the floor, rotating it up towards ceiling. Do that a couple of times. Feeling your feet in contact with the mat. And as you lift up the chin the last time, we'll then let the right arm float up. And once we're here, we're just going to pause again. A couple of full conscious rounds of breath. Pressing the reset button. And the right hand will come down. Now frame the front foot with your hands, and from there rotate the back foot, the right foot round so it's parallel, and we'll step back with the left foot. And we're arriving for a few breaths in down dog. Again, bringing space around the knee joints, so you might want a little bit of bend through the knees. Space around the shoulders, so drawing the shoulders back.
Check you can move the head from one side to the other. Check you can feel your fingertips. Connecting to your back. And then the next round of breath, and breathing in, the knees will come down. And breathing out, we'll bring pelvis back towards heels, into sitting, and we'll take the knees a little bit further apart from one another. So breathe in, lift through the spine, and breathing out, we'll slide the hands forward. And you're arriving into a wide-legged forward fold. Fold can come to the floor, onto a block or a cushion. With your next round of breath, start to slide the hands back up. And we'll now bring the legs out in front of us, and we're taking the legs wide into a V shape. So hands can rest on the thighs here or just on the floor in front of you. And starting to, from the base of the spine, starting to circle the spine around. And in small circles. Now the emphasis here is, as we were doing with the hip socket, we're looking to keep the focus at the base of the spine, that point where the spine connects to the pelvis. And that's the bit we want to feel we're rotating. So rather than worrying about or stretching out towards the floor or anything like that, or making that the focus, really feel the rotation at the base of the spine. Almost, if you imagine the pelvis, it's quite a bowl-like shape. And so if you were making a cake, you would want to scoop the spine all the way around to the edge of that bowl to lift off any cake mixture, as it were. We'll take the pelvis the opposite way. Feeling inwards. Almost like we're fine-tuning here the feeling receptors of the mind. Becoming aware of things that maybe we wouldn't normally be aware of. You're resetting some of the habits of what we're used to in the feeling landscape of the body. So much of how we feel is a perception. That can become a little bit fixed within the mindset. So we don't notice, maybe value, or appreciate some of the other feelings that are present within the body, that the body's offering us. We're so busy focusing on one thing or another thing. So kind of cultivating this sense of listening means we become more receptive to whatever is, whatever's been offered.
And arriving back to the center line, bringing the legs together now. And toes are flexing up to the ceiling. And as we started, we'll take a big in-breath. The arms will float up. And once you lift up the arms, check the head is free again. Free to move from side to side. And then we'll take the palms down and into the heart, into prayer. Now, as you are swaying your spine like a snake from side to side, like a snake swimming almost, so too we're going to come into our forward fold like that. So hands at the heart, your rudder. You're swaying your head, spine down, and the head will follow. It doesn't have to be a perfect sway at all, but you're just feeling your way down. When you get to a comfortable point, then you can bring the hands down to your legs and slide them out away from you. And then the head will just hang down between shoulders. Press the reset button again to take 3 rounds of breath here. And sliding the hands back up the legs and bending the knees down. And you're arriving down onto the spine and the knees will come into the chest. And arriving knees to chest, if you reach down now towards your feet or the backs of the thighs, and we come into happy baby before we arrive in Shavasana. So holding the outsides of the feet, and the knees can come apart. And moving your attention away from the sensation of the body into the breath there. Finding the fullness of your breath. Radiance of the breath. Something that's there, regardless of the sensation that the mind may perceive. Drawing your knees back in towards the chest. Or just spend a couple of breaths, just rocking from side to side. Giving your lower spine a little bit of a massage. And then when you're ready to, if you drop your knees down to your feet down to the mat. And once there, the arms coming either sides of the body. And we'll stretch out each leg in turn. And you're arriving in lying down, in Shavasana. And finding anchor points in your Shavasana to steady the mind. So choose a point of contact that you feel between body and earth. Letting yourself rest in that point of contact. Knowing body is held. Now, if you would like a little bit longer in your Shavasana, then do feel free to carry on there. Otherwise, starting to stretch out into the body, pointing toes away from you, flexing them back in. Feel the length of the arms, out and into fingertips. And breathing in, we'll lift the arms up over the head to the floor behind you, so you can take a full body stretch there. And then breathing in, bringing arms back down again to the sides of the body. Take your time now to bend the knees, and with knees bent, start to roll over onto one side of the body. And there, giving yourself a few resting breaths. And finally, gently finding your way back up and into a comfortable seat again. Again, hands just resting simply on the lap. Again, find a bit of lift up along the spine. And then allowing eyes to shut. With your eyes shut, find your breath inside you. Feel your breath inside you. How does it feel to consciously breathe in, to breathe out? Become like a detective, witnessing the breath. No judgment in the breath. No past, no future, no demands or assumptions. Just a string of moments strung together. Hands coming up to heart when you're ready into prayer. When you're there, bowing your head down to the heart. And any words you want to privately send to yourself. Set your day, your week. Letting the heart listen to those. And then opening eyes again and closing practice. Thank you.